All right, so far we're doing great on time. So I would like to go ahead and keep us on time. Our next speaker is Glenn Studebaker. And Glenn, I apologize, I gave you the title of your presentation. You're welcome to change it, of course, but as written, it is IPM Programs in Arkansas. Thank you, Glenn.
Well, I got close to the same time. I'm going to give basically an overview of our IPM program. I'm the IPM coordinator. Took that responsibility over a couple of years ago, and everything I'm going to talk about is funded through helped out with the NEFA USDA IPM enhancement. Well, this thing jumps fast, doesn't it?
Yes.
Just touch the button, next speaker. I want to go over some of our challenges. It's similar to I'm going to talk a lot about row crops. We do have other stuff going on, but some of our challenges the last few years in Arkansas on IPM have really been, I guess, multiple sources of information have been a big issue. Growers can get their information from salesmen, like we were just talking about with the school IPM industry, social media, the internet. You're in the field, you Google anything. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true, though. And sometimes people don't trust that source of information. Anybody can put up a website and say, you can kill bollworms with a rock or whatever, but it's just how it works. Another big issue is convenience. Growers tend to choose the issue that's the easiest for them to handle. That's 4th of July is coming up. I'm going to the lake. That's a big issue with whether it's irrigation, pest management, anything else with our growers. A lot of them, they want what's convenient for them and doesn't mess up with the rest of their life as far as what they're doing. But I think the last few years in Arkansas in particular, one of our biggest issues has been high commodity prices. When things are going good and they're making a lot of money, how they're going to save money, which IPM does tend to save money, I think, for most growers, they're less interested in using IPM. If the salesman says this is what's going to work, plus you get to go on a golf trip to Arizona, they're going to, okay, I'll put it out there. It's just one of those things. And I don't have it on the slide, but one of our other big issues in Arkansas, especially in row crops, has been these yield contests. There's been, everybody wants bragging rights. Well, all the growers that are doing, making the high yields, 100 bushel soybeans, this is what they're doing. And when you look at their programs, they're completely opposite of IPM. Automatic applications, everything in the world on this small amount of acreage so they can have bragging rights. Well, growers look at that. Industry uses some of that too, I think, to, hey, this is what they do. And that's one of the issues I've, just talking to growers the last couple of years. Well, this is what so-and-so does, and he won the yield contest. I was at one board meeting with one of our grower boards this past year, and the thing that's really going on right now is because commodity prices have dropped, now they're interested in IPM. So, we have a great opportunity, at least I think in the South right now, to make some impacts with IPM, because now they're listening a little bit. Hey, how can I save money? Where can I save a few applications? But one grower he goes, he made this comment. He says, I hate these high yield contests. I wish we had instead a contest for who has the best profits. A high profit contest. Who has the best bottom line? It may not be 100 bushel soybeans. I make 70 bushel soybeans, but I made a lot more money. I didn't lose any money. The other guy did. A best IPM contest. And really, we were talking about commercials and everything else. I think we've kind of fallen off of really selling our product. And that's really what we need to do. We need to sell our product. And integrated pest management is a product. It's integrated. Doesn't mean we're all organic, we're all pesticide. It's integrated. We use all of those different programs. I'm going to kind of go over our IPM program. We do have the main part of our program is a row crops, what we call a mini grants program. And I'll go over that. I won't spend a lot of time talking about that. But we also have an animal IPM program. We have urban IPM. We also do some specialty cropping, and part of our IPM funds go to the diagnostic lab, which is becomes quite important to a lot of our programs. And we use a team approach. And I list those because a lot of these people are, a lot of these people are involved to one extent or another. I'm the coordinator. We do have a lot of entomologists and row crops. Kelly Lofton, Dr. Lofton is our animal IPM guide, and Don Johnson does specialty crops, and John Hopkins is our urban. Those are all entomologists, but we also have plant pathologists, weed science. We talked this past year in Arkansas in particular, resistant weeds is getting to be probably one of the #1 issues as far as pest management in Arkansas. And then we also include agronomists because we're looking at the whole program, and they have to deal a lot with all of the questions that growers have. And so they have input as well into our program. We're going to go over the row crop IPM program. And this is kind of what we do. We started this several years ago in Arkansas using IPM funds really to kind of fund programs in each county through the county agents. In Arkansas, we still have county ag agents in every county. A lot of states have moved away from that, but we still, right now, we're still supporting that. So there is at least one ag agent, and the larger counties will have 2 or 3. We used to have at least 2 in every county, but now we're down to 1 in a lot of them. But we provide funding to those agents so they can focus on IPM programs or conducting a program with the clientele that came through this mini grants program, and I'll go over that. But what this does is, instead of us saying, well, this is what the whole IPM program for the state's going to be, it allows those agents to tailor their programs to the specific needs of their clientele. Arkansas is not a big state, but we have a little bit of diversity as far as problems from north to south and from east to west in different parts of the state. The one thing we do have to remind the agents is that these IPM mini grants have to have an IPM focus. In the past, we would throw these things out there and we would get proposals from agents on, well, I'm going to put out a variety demo or an irrigation demo. Well, that's fine. Is there an IPM focus to it? And so we have to really push them to make sure that they do have some kind of IPM focus on that. And so one of the things we did last year, well, and these are the crops that as far as row crops, we have cotton, soybean, corn, grain, sorghum, rice, and now we've got peanuts in Arkansas. Our acreage, they say we may have up to 20,000 acres of peanuts in Arkansas this year. A big part of that push for peanuts in Arkansas is because we haven't had them there. The disease pressure is not near as high in Arkansas right now. So peanut production is kind of focused and increased in Arkansas. And it looks like it's going to be here to stay. I didn't know if it was, but we've went from a few thousand to the brokers are saying that we may see as much as 20,000 acres this year. But what we do is, as coordinator, I send out basically a call for proposals to the county agents, and they will submit proposals for IPM programs. They can submit it not just on one crop, but for 1 or more crops. Basically, what their IPM program is going to be in their county. And they need to include some type of IPM demonstration, also some outreach of some sort, and then they have to submit a budget with each of their programs. And at the end of the year, end of the season, we require reports back from them as to what they did, what impacts they had. That's the hardest part, is getting the reports from these agents. And then these are the focus areas. What we used to do was we just send it out, okay, you send us a proposal. And I told you sometimes they would send us proposals that had nothing to do with IPM. They just needed some money. That's what they wanted. So what we did this last year with the committee, which was pretty much most of the people on that first slide I showed with our team, is that we gave them some focus areas. These are the areas that we think are important as right now in IPM in Arkansas and row crops, and this is what, these are some suggestions. They don't have to use these, but these are some suggestions that they can, suggested programs. And in row crops, I listed this with #1, automatic applications, or what we call one and done programs. A lot of the high yield producers, or the ones that win the yield contest, use these type of programs. And so that's really become a big issue over the last few years. This year, like I said, with commodity prices going down a little bit, they're not so interested to kind of cut some of these applications out. But a lot of these were one and done programs, and I'll go over that. Basically, automatic applications at certain growth stages, particularly in soybeans. A lot of growers are spending a lot of money on this stuff. Sugarcane aphid, new pests are another thing that we really have tried to get them to focus on. You know, sugarcane aphid is a fairly new pest in grain sorghum, big problem. So they can submit some stuff on sugarcane aphid. Kudzu bug, it's not a new pest in the South, but it is fairly new in Arkansas, and so we really want the agents to focus on that, on educating growers on management of that particular pest. Deck tea stem borer is another one that some growers have spent a lot of money on managing the pests that are trying to manage a pest that is not really easily manageable with insecticides. Rice stink bug and then southwestern corn borer. We have seen in Arkansas, we've had a poultry producer go in and we were talking about the soybean with the peaches, the first talk about organic production. We've got a poultry plant in northeast Arkansas that just went in the last couple of years. Their big push is their chickens are fed with non-GMO crops. So they're paying a premium for non-GMO corn, field corn. So we've seen the acreage of non-BT, non-Roundup, basically conventional corn go up quite a bit in northeast Arkansas, which has changed the focus. Southwestern corn borer needs to be managed in that. In that particular setting. So this thing changes from year to year as far as what our focus is going to be. And then of course sorghum, midge, and headworm, which really goes along with the sugarcane aphid, and then insecticide termination cotton. Like I said, they may have something that's more specific to their area or in their county, and they can submit a proposal on that. They don't have to use a focus area. I did say something about weeds a while ago. Weeds really have become, resistant weeds have become one of the biggest issues in Arkansas as far as what growers are spending money on and controlling. Of course, resistant pigweed management is a big issue, and the commercials say Roundup will kill everything. Well, it doesn't kill pigweeds very much anymore. But also resistant barnyard grass and this PPO resistance in pigweeds that has really showed up. And it's a much bigger issue than what we thought. So we're doing surveys of that. Basically, a lot of growers don't know, sometimes they don't know what they've got going on. So we're doing surveys as well, but there's been a lot of, we're trying to focus. Our weed scientists have not been involved with the IPM program much in the past, and we're trying to get them more involved because weeds are a pest. It's not just bugs and diseases, but get them involved in some of those things. Same thing with disease. These automatic applications are often targeted at not just insects, but diseases as well. Of course, this increases problems with resistance, and we've seen resistance, we've seen new diseases come in. One of the areas, we grow a lot of rice in Arkansas, and one of the programs that we do have is what we call the Instar program, which basically is fertility, getting the right nitrogen, not putting out too much. We see less disease pressure in those fields. So basically some demonstrations on this showing a grower that not only can they save money on fertilizer, but your disease pressure is lower, has been a big plus in our programs. Some of the counties that grow a lot of rice have made some big impacts in those. And then just disease surveys. What we're trying to use this program for as well is how extensive are some of these diseases? What is out there? And that same thing with insects as well. It's just some surveys, get the agents out in the field and find out what's really going on. It gives us a database that we can use to go back to. How's this spreading? Where is this beginning to show up? Everybody's got a smartphone now, so they can take GPS coordinates wherever they're at. And that's what we ask them to do on those kind of things. But the disease area is one that we do like to focus on. I'm going to go over, really focus on a couple of our programs, not spend the whole time talking about just the whole program, but maybe focus in a little bit. Kudzu bug, like I said, is a pest that showed up in Arkansas. We've been watching for it for years. It's been on the other side of the river for a long time. And we kept thinking it's going to show up, it's going to show up. And finally in 2014, it did show up in Arkansas. And what we really would want to do is track the spread of this pest across the state. And so what we, this is a focus area, and a lot of the agents did jump on this because we have soybeans in most counties in the state. But what we asked them to do is sample 10 kudzu patches. One of the big education things we had to do was train them on what kudzu was. There's some other plants out there that they thought was kudzu, but is not kudzu. So we had to train them as far as what kudzu patches are. And they sampled 10 they had to find 10 kudzu patches and 10 soybean fields, and they would sample those. They gave us GPS coordinates, sampled them weekly, and basically to see when if and when this bug would show up in their county. Here's a map. That's where it showed up in, oops, I hit the wrong button, didn't I? Here's that red county is Crittenden County. That's where it showed up in 2014. We picked it up in the fall of the year. Right across from Memphis, right there, basically is where it's at. But we saw that on some kudzu, found it on a kudzu patch. The agent did that was in that county, and in 2014. So for this particular last year, 2015, all the yellow counties in here basically participated in this kudzu bug survey. So they got, so we got a big, most of our row crop agriculture in Arkansas is in the eastern delta along the Mississippi River, and then in the Arkansas River Valley, which goes across the center of the state. So most of those yellow counties. You'll notice there are some counties that aren't colored in, that are right in that row crop production area. Not all that, the agents are not required by administration to submit an IPM proposal and participate in the program. Doesn't mean that they didn't survey, but they did not basically participate in the program. So we had quite a few counties that actually participated in the program in 2015. And this is the counties that we actually found in this year. So the spread, it's moving fairly quick, not as rapid as the sugarcane aphid. One of the challenges that we've got this year is, sugarcane aphid showed up on sorghum and was a pretty bad pest and pretty devastating. Now kudzu bug's here, so we're trying to get mostly consultants not to panic and think, well, okay, we've got a few kudzu bug, we better spray everything. That's why we're really trying to focus and focus this program on education, not just of growers, county agents, but also the consultants. That's another aspect of this program that is really helps us, since they're getting money from us and working with us, to stepped up the education of the county agents. I think another step on IPM. Agents, even though they're ag agents, they have 100 other things that they have to do. They've got 4-H. They've got, Mississippi County has 2 agents, and it's the biggest county in the state. They've got 2 county agents. They have to answer horticulture calls. They answer school IPM calls. They answer, not just row crop calls. So and then they got 4-H. They've got youth. They've got a lot of things going on that pulls them 100 different directions. So they can't always spend a lot of time focusing on educating themselves on IPM. So this helps us to be out there with them. And as you can see, we picked it up in a lot of counties. I suspect Cross County, it's a white county right there, the agent did not participate in the program, probably had kudzu bug in it if they were sample field. Talked to some consultants, they didn't pick them up, but not all of them were looking real close for them. But that's what we're seeing. So we expect this to spread. So we're really focusing our educational area in this particular year coming up on those areas, especially Crittenden, Mississippi, and Poinsett County up in northeast Arkansas, where we are picking them up in soybeans. Basically to keep growers from panicking and consultants from panicking, and agents as well, so they have an informed way. One of the best things that out of this program that's come up is that when a problem like this comes up, we can kind of mobilize and put some training with agents in those particular areas in the field and get them going. One and done programs. This is one in the soybeans where we've seen a lot of issues as far as IPM, but particularly soybeans, what the idea is an insecticide and a fungicide at R2, R3 growth stage. And then they've started now with, again at R5, this promising increased yields. Applications are automatic. No scouting is done. Consultants love this because, hey, I don't have to scout the field. And I've looked at some of the reports, and we're trying to work with consultants. The agents are supposed to work with the consultants and the growers in these particular fields, but the report is you're at R2. It's time to put out the fungicide, insecticide, and a lot of the fields are at the same stage, so it made it easy that week for the consultant. So what we're doing with this one, and basically they're supposed to initiate, set up some fields with some growers and some, and look at the profitability. Is if it works, if they are making good profits, well, maybe we should suggest this. But they're supposed to also share the results. These are large block. We want them to try to replicate them if they can. Most of them were able to replicate strips in the field with two to three reps, and then make those automatic applications. And then they would, agents and the consultants were to scout the fields as well to see what the pressure is and determine which production works best. This is one there. This is just a few of the. It's not really showing up all the way across there, but basically, this is one that Dr. Lorenz, I, and Dr. Sider oversaw several of these locations, and the colored bars are as treated only as needed. We never hit threshold for either insects or disease on any of these fields at this particular year. The results are kind of variable. Most of the locations we did not see a yield increase from making those automatic applications. Of course, there was increased cost, but a few places they look like the fungicide application may have actually significantly increased yield a little bit. We also, and this is just one of the county demonstrations. That was some of the where we, Dr. Lorenz and I and Nick looked at some of those things. This one is Mississippi County. The agent there, he got out and did several locations, at least 2 reps. And he did economics on his. I was kind of impressed that he went to and did an economic analysis. He presented this at his grower meetings in the winter. He's got a demo book that he passes out. So he's got this stuff out there. He worked with the consultant as well. But he did a profit loss. Again, he didn't hit threshold on any of his fields either. And but what he saw was he's got the dollars and cents over here on the side. There was a loss on every one of them. Because where we treated threshold, it never treated, so there was no loss on that. But it's kind of interesting. One of the other things that we are doing is resistant weed surveys. There are a big issue with resistant weeds. Most of the counties, this is something they can do that's easy. A lot of the money that the counties, when they put these proposals in, these counties, some of them are big. They got to drive a lot to all these fields. So a big part of their budget is travel. Because they have to drive their own vehicles to do these things. But these are the counties that are participating in the survey. And again, it gives them some good information. This is this is Greene County. He did a really good job, I thought, of kind of putting everything in a summary. And this is, again, something he puts together a really slick demo booklet at the end of the year that he gives out to his growers. But again, this is for barnyard grass, and he's got percent of the field, 69%. He did this last year and it was 15%. So this is giving us some data over time that we're getting in each of the counties where we can kind of look at the increase or decrease in some of these resistance problems. But don't have all of the data in. A lot of these samples are still being run by some of the weed scientists. They send them up to Fayetteville to our weed scientists up there, and they do a lot of the screening on these things. We are picking up resistance. Most of the counties, they are picking up resistance in most of the counties, and then they're using this, of course, to educate growers as it goes on. Our program, what are the benefits? I think it is one of our big benefits. We're delivering it at these programs at the county level. It's giving the agents abilities to focus on certain areas that are important. And like I said, we're getting a lot of data because we're requiring the agents to send us the survey data, particularly. We're collecting data that we can maybe use over time. I get questions. I've been doing this a long time, and I get questions. Well, do you have data of showing moth catches for the last 10 years? Yeah, somewhere. It's kind of hard to find it. I think another big part of this too is that it gives the agents, encourages them to get involved in the field. We've had a lot of agents retire. We've got new agents coming on. We've got a lot of young people that are out there now. And I don't know about other states, but in Arkansas, we're really bad about, well, here's your office, go out and do good work, but we don't really tell them how to do that good work. This kind of helps us to mentor them a little bit, encourage them to get out in the field. Sometimes they get the idea, I'll sit in my office behind my desk and wait for the phone calls to come to me. Well, it used to be that way years ago because people didn't have the internet. They had to get their information. But it also gives these agents some experience in grant writing because we require them to put a budget together, They're going to tell us what they're supposed to do, and they have to give us a report. So, down the road, I see that this could benefit them if they want to apply for other grants, not just with our program. Drawbacks, this thing's time consuming. I oversee this thing, and when you've got 30 proposals from 30 counties coming in, some of them in different crops, and then you got to get a committee together to put, go over these things and then decide how we're going to split this money. It's very time consuming on our part. Accountability, getting them to turn in reports. Well, we spent the money. Well, where's your results? Well, and I have a few agents that, well, I haven't got that summarized yet, which I suspect means they probably didn't do it, but they did spend the money. But just getting those reports can be a challenge. But I think the benefits far outweigh the drawbacks in our program. Any questions?
So we do have a little bit of time for questions. 3 minutes?
Yes.
What is a typical amount for one of the mini grants? And when you report these results to NIFA, do you call it a mini grants program, or do you report them by the different grant recipients, or how's that handled?
It's reported as a mini grants program. It was part of our proposal. Typically, it depends on what our funding level is, of course, but this past go around, it depends on the size of the county and what they want to do. I mean, the biggest ones are probably around $2,000 per county, but it's been as low as $400 if they've just got, so. There was one county, I'm going to survey resistant weeds. Yeah, and he only asked for $400, so, he was realistic. That's the thing, I have to really get on to him, be realistic. What are you going to do? This isn't just a handout, but to help supplement your travel, and that's what some of them kind of look at the program is. But no, you've got to have a program. Anywhere between that, a lot of them run around $1,000 to between $1,000 and $2,000. Yes.
Does this money come through the EAP grant?
Yes. Yeah, this is off of the IP grant. This is with the money that we use for that, and the diagnostic lab and some other stuff as well. I showed it the first slide, but a little over half of our program is a mini grants program. Yeah.
So, a couple of questions. One, do you have any teeth in them not reporting? Because there is an expectation for outcomes from the overall award. And second of all, do you complete these mini grants before you write your proposal, so that you're actually detailing what that money is going to do?
We don't have the mini grants in there because agents change, things change. But because we have these focus areas, we do know basically what they're going to be working on. But we do have the teeth that we have. Number one is when they resubmit every year. This is a yearly thing that they do. If they do not give a report, don't ask me for another grant this year. That's the main thing. The other teeth we have is, I call their boss. I'm not their boss, but I call their boss and say, hey, I'm not getting a report from this guy. He got this money. He spent it. Are you going to give it back? Because they'll have to cover that. I've never had to do that, but their district director really doesn't like to have to come up with money from another area for an agent to do anything.
So it's getting to be a couple of years ago since I read the grant proposal, but you didn't say we're just going to do a mini grant program and you left it hanging out there. You had it embedded within your emphasis areas. We're going to do this kind of work, and some of that's going to be awarded via mini grants. So it was not, just to share this with other people that are applicants, it was not an open-ended thing. It did not. It looked like there were specific things that were linked to what their expected outcomes were in the program.
Yes.